Hi guys, thank you for joining in today's tutorial. Yes, if today is your first time of coming across Infinity's gallery, please just hit on that subscribe button, okay? Yes, thank you so much. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you for all your support, best wishes, and sticking with me as well. I really appreciate you guys. So here with me on the table is a sample-less material. So we'll be using this to cut the upper bodice, the half length. Why this Ankara fabric here? Just 2 yards, okay? So I'll be using the Ankara fabric to cut from the half length downwards. It's just a ruffles with a Basque effect, okay? That is what we are doing today. So this will be for a half length, while this will be from the half length downwards. On this will create a Basque and also the ruffles, okay? The gathers, okay? Fold the fabric like so, okay? So I want this to be at the lower end, as in the waist area. So this will serve as the upper and shoulder area. So I'll go right down, I'll start our line from here. Okay, I'll give it some space for folding allowance. So I'll create this will serve as our starting line. The half length is 14 inches. So starting from the starting line, I'll create 14 inches, I'll add just 1 inch, okay? For joining to at the shoulder area and also to the Ankara fabric as well. So altogether we have here is 15 inches. Like so, we have 15 inches here. So this, like I said before, this will be at our lower area. So this is at the shoulder area. So the shoulder measurement of my client is 15 inches divided by 2. We have 7.5. I'll mark 7.5 here. Okay. So I'll come down 1 inch for our shoulder slant, like so. I'll come down 1 inch here for our shoulder slant. So here, so the neck width is 3.5 inches. Okay, this dress I'm actually making it for a girl of 12 years. So the width of our neck is 3.5, while the depth I'll be taking it 4 inches. Okay, the child is on a bigger size, so I'll connect it like so and I'll curve it. It's a round neck. It's a round neck. So what next I will do is to mark from my shoulder. I'll mark the armhole. The armhole is 7.5. Okay, I'll mark it right there. So on this, which is also the chest line. So the chest line, on the chest line, I'll mark my bust measurement, which is 33 inches. 33 divided by 4, we have 8.25. I'll mark 8.25 like so. So I'll mark joining allowance of, I'll use entirely what I have here, okay? So I have 1.5 inches for joining allowance. Also the waist area. The waist measurement is 28 inches divided by 4, we have 7 inches like so. So I'll mark 7 inches. I'll mark 7 inches here. I'll also mark 1.5 inches. So all the way from here, I'll take it down. This is not going to have a dart because of this fabric, okay? So I'll cut it now. I'll cut our neck, round neck, the shoulder area, shoulder slant. I'll also go ahead and connect the shoulder slant all the way to the neck, like so. So I'm going to cut this so that we can see it properly. So that's that for our armhole. Then what next I will do is to cut the sides. That's that for, here we have the front bodice. Okay, we have length, like I said before, is 14 inches, 15 inches. We went ahead and added 1 inch for joining. So I'm going to trim it like so, cut it off. So at this point, we are going to join our fabric like so. So I'm going to cut, also fold in the back bodice. Okay. So I've gone ahead and folded the front bodice right there on the back bodice. And I left some inches for zip allowance, okay? We are going to use doll face or shining face to turn this fabric, okay? Before attaching the Ankara fabric. So now I've gone ahead and left 1 inch allowance for zip allowance. So I'm going to trim it off. But for the neckline area, for the back, I'm going to create, I'll come down 1 inch for the neck depth, 1 inch for the neck depth. This is for the back bodice, okay? So I'll come down 1 inch like so. So I'm going to cut it off and also cut the rest of the sides. So like so we have, what I'm going to do now is to slip into the back zip allowance. So this is the front, while this is the back. Okay, we have the front, we have the back. So I'm going to cut a satin fabric using these samples. So I've gone ahead and cut out the satin like so. This is the front, this is the back, okay? So what I will do now is to stitch it all around. So I'll flip it to the wrong side. This is the wrong side, while the right side facing the wrong side, okay? Or I can do it like so. Just on the right side of the material, okay? So the wrong side facing the right side. I just stitch it all around using ½ inch, okay? Then top stitch as well. Top stitch right there on the seam allowance towards the lining side, not towards the fabric, not towards the sample lace, okay? Then I'll flip it to the other side like so, okay? Once I flip it to the other side, the right side of the satin will be facing the directly opposite at the back. So I'm going to do the same on this. Let me explain what I said earlier. This is the two sides. This is the wrong side of the fabric, okay? One side of the satin. So the sample lace will be facing directly on the wrong side, okay? I'll just use ½ inch and close it up, then top stitch. Then I'll flip it towards the other side. See, so here we have the right side of the satin. So I'm going to do this in shorts. So right now, I've joined in the lining, okay? I've folded the lining on the upper bodice and also the front bodice as well. I've joined the lining to the main fabric. So what I did was to close in the neckline first. I top stitch on it, okay, and also did the lower bodice. So for now, what I'm going to do next is to close in at the shoulder area, okay? So I'm going to fold it this way, making sure that the shoulder point matches each other, lining to lining, fabric to fabric. Just the way you see me doing it. I'll fold it this way, okay? So lining to lining and the lace fabric to fabric, okay? I'll close in the side using the actual body measurement. So right now, I've joined in this side using the actual body measurement. Here we have the back, and I've also closed in the zip allowance. So the full length of our upper bodice, which is the half length, is 13 inches here. Our half length is 13 inches, while the full length of the total of the gown is 43 inches, okay? So what I did was to minus 43 minus 14 minus 13 inches, sorry, for half length, which is 30 inches left for the Ankara fabric. So now remember I said earlier that we're going to have a basque. It's going to have a basque effect from the half length to the hip. Okay, I'm going to cut from the half length to the hip. Okay, from the half length to the hip area is 9 inches. So I'm going to cut here 9 inches. Okay, so I'm go ahead and add extra 5 inches to create this basque effect. Total is 14 inches I'm going to cut on this Ankara fabric. Okay, for the basque effect. Then after that, I'm going to add our ruffles. It's going to have a ruffles at the side of this basque effect. So the ruffles is 16 inches. How did I get this 16 inches? Remember, our total is 43 minus the half length, which is 30 inches. So for the basque effect, which is 14 inches, okay, 9 plus 5 inches, 14 inches. So what I did was to minus 30 minus 14. So for my ruffles, or for the pleating rather, what I will have there is 16 inches I'm going to cut out. So for now, what I will cut out is the lower bodice. That's the basque measurement. So now I'll go ahead and fold this fabric into 4. Let me do that into 2. I'll cut the front, after which I'll use it to cut the back. Okay, remember our back has zip allowance. So now what will determine the folding is the hip measurement. And the hip measurement for my client is 37 inches. Divided by 4, I have 9.25. So I'll go ahead and create my starting line. From this point, I'll mark my starting line. Okay. And what I said earlier before, from the half length, okay, which is this upper bodice we have done, which was 13 inches in length, half length, I'll mark down 14 inches, okay, 9 inches where our hip measurement stop, at this 9 inches length. Then I'll add extra 5 inches for the basque effect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that made me to stop at 14 inches, okay? So we have 14 inches here, like so. The waist measurement is 7 inches. So I'll mark 7 inches right there at this point at the waistline, okay? So we have 7 inches here. So remember I didn't add that on the upper bodice, so I'm going to add 1 inch dart, okay, on the Ankara fabric only. So I went ahead and added 1 inch, and I'm going to fold it with a lining. So I'll add 2 extra inches for seam allowance. So coming down to the hip area, okay, when we came down 9 inches for the hip, so at the hip area the circumference is 9.25. So I'll add extra 2 inches, okay, for seam allowance. So I'll connect it right there to the waist area. Now for the basque effect. Now I remember I added extra 5 inches for the basque effect. So starting from the hip line, I'll just make it a slant form, okay, using my ruler to meet at the point. So you could make yours to be 4 inches, 4.5 inches, 9 inches, depending on how lengthy you want your basque effect to be. So what I will do now is to make it a straight line in a slanted form to meet at that point, okay? So from this point, what I will do now is to cut it in that shape. But for the meantime, I will coming down to the basque line, the slanted basque effect, I'll use this sample to cut the back bodice, okay? After which, I will then cut the basque line. So right now I'll go ahead and fold the back bodice, okay, into two, okay, creating also the zip allowance. There's going to be a zip at the back of the gown. So right now I've folded the fabric into two, and I went ahead and placed the front bodice, okay, like so, on top of the back bodice, leaving out the zip allowance of 1.5 inches, okay. Let's go. I'm going to cut a lining for this piece. Yes, I'm going to cut a lining for this piece. So I left 1.5 inches for zipper allowance. So by the time I will join the lining to the fabric, I'll be left with just 1 inch, okay, for the zip allowance. So I'll go right out and cut the back bodice. So that's it. Here we have the front and the back panel. So right now I'm trimming the lower end, the excess part, okay. So what next I will do now is to cut out the basque line, okay, like so. So first, so starting from that point, that is the 14 inches in length, okay. Remember, the hip length and the basque effect, everything there is 14 inches. So I'll also go ahead and slit into two, like so, the zip allowance, okay. So here we have the front panel and also that of the back panel, okay, which have been slitted into two. So what I will do now is to cut out the lining piece, okay, for on this part fabric. So I'll cut out the lining piece and join it, after which I will close in the zip allowance. So here we have our lining cut out already, like so. That's for the back panel. And we also have for the front panel. So for the front panel, I'm going to place the lining like so. Okay, while stitching, I'll stitch the sides, both sides as well. After that, I will flip it like so, okay, at the back. Then on the front, on the right side, I will stitch at the lower hem like so, and also at the upper bodice, okay, on the right side. So I'll also do the same on the back panel. I'll close in the side and flip it, okay, just the same way I demonstrated the front panel. Then now for the ruffles, okay, so I've gone ahead and cut out a long piece, okay. Yes, that is, I used the, remember I said it's 2 yards of the fabric. I use completely the 2 yards, okay. So you could also make yours to be twice the waist measurement or thrice, okay. Whatever your waist circumference is, you multiply it into 2 or 3 times, depending on the available fabric you have at hand. The long strip wideness is 2 yards of the fabric, as I earlier explained. So the length now is 16 inches, okay. So we're going to use this long strip to form a ruffles at the basque line, okay, at the basque joint. So here we have, I've gone ahead and joined the lining piece for the front and the back panel like so. So what I will do now is to close in the zip allowance, okay, using 1 inch, okay. So I've gone ahead and joined the linings. So this is the back bodice. I've also closed in using 1 inch like so. So what I will do is to flip it. Remember, on the Ankara we added just 1 inch for that allowance. Okay, so what I will do is to close in the sides using the actual body measurement. That's the waist, then the hip. Okay, the waist and the hip. Then I also put in the dart. So for the dart, we added just 1 inch. So what I'm going to do, starting from the zip allowance, okay, that has been closed. So the bust to bust measurement of my client is 3.5. So sorry, 3 inches. So I'll go and write there and add ½ inches. Okay, so that means what we have here is 3.5 inches. 3 inches is the actual that added ½ inch, okay, for seam allowance. So what we have is 3.5 inches. Okay, so I also do the same on the other side, 3.5 inches, like so. So I will notch it. I'll notch it like so. I also notch the other side as well. Okay, so what next I'm going to do, I'll come down from the waist area. I'll come down 4 inches. Okay, that's the dart length. I also do the same and connect it like so. I also do the same on the other side, 4 inches down. I'll connect it like so. Okay, I'll do the same on the front bodice. It have been marked, notched already. All I'll do is to trace it. I'll connect it and also mark 4. On both sides, I'll come in ½ inch. Remember, we mapped out 1 inch for it. So ½ inch on both sides and also ½ inch on both sides. Okay, I'll do the same on the back bodice. I'll now stitch on the ½ inch. I'll stitch on it like so. So I'll trace it. I'll trace it like so. So I'm going to close it here. Okay, run a stitch also at this point. Just take up one like so. Once bodice, I will just close it up. I'll do the same. I also do the same on the back. I'll now fix it on the upper bodice. Okay, after doing this, I'm going to join it to the upper bodice and show us. Okay, so now I've gone ahead and joined at the waist. Okay, also I've closed in the sides, and here we have the zipper area. So like so, what I will do next is to stitch in the ruffles. Okay, following the Basque line effect that we have created already. So I've gone ahead and opened up our long strip, which I earlier said its length is 16 inches. So remember, we are going to fold in the lower hem of these ruffles. Okay, so I added extra 2 inches for the folding, and also the length, like I explained, is 2 yards. Okay, 2 yards. I use completely the 2 yards of the fabric. So what I will do now is taking note of the right and the wrong side of the fabric. I'm going to close in. I'll close in the 2 sides of the long strip. But before then, I went ahead and measure out the round circumference. Okay, the circumference of the lower hem where the basque effect is. So I took the round circumference measurement to confirm if the long strip or if the ruffles that I've cut out, the material for the ruffles will be enough for the basque line. Okay, so I went ahead and measured out it like so, and what I got there was 45 inches all round. Okay, so I'm going to use this long strip that we mapped out for it. Okay, I'm going to do a little, you can as well do gathers on it, or you pleat on the fabric. Okay, So for the purpose of this tutorial, I went ahead and gathered it like so. I place gathers on it using a loose string. So what I will do now is to flip it to the wrong side, okay? I'll flip it like so. I'll go ahead and use the long strip mapped out for it to sew all around the basque circumference, okay? So I'll use the long strip, which I have gone ahead and did gathers on it. So what I did was to notch at the center, okay, right? So I'll place the center of the front bodice against the center of the long strip, okay? So I went ahead and fastened it down with a pin, the notched points with a pin. So I also did the same on the side. So on the center of the back bodice, okay? So I notched the 4 points and fastened them with a pin, like so. The center front, the center back, then the 2 sides. So I went ahead and fastened them with a pin, okay, to enable me to have even distribution of all the fabric around the circumference, okay, like so. So I'm going to do this and show us the final look of this, our basque dress. So thank you so much. If this tutorial has been so helpful to you, just hit on that subscribe button, okay? Give this video a thumbs up, like, share the video to your friends and well-wishers. Also, more importantly, hit on that notification bell so that each time I upload a new video, you'll be the first to be notified. So thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you all. So it's bye for now till we meet in my next tutorial. So bye bye.